Okay, this is the second video after you have the fascia installed. This is about installing the roof sheathing. At this point, you have all the fascia installed, you have bracing on your roof, and the roof is aligned to 16-inch on center. You have your 6-inch fly rafter gap, you have your diagonal brace on the roof, you have a horizontal brace across the roof. Please note that while the roof is aligned, it is not square. So one of the first things we'll be doing is preparing to square the roof. And the way we'll do that is by removing the diagonal brace only. You will leave the horizontal brace in place. That's very important. It will become an extreme hazard if you take off the horizontal brace. Remove only the diagonal brace. Alright, then you're going to measure out for your first piece of sheathing. Now, we are 16 on center. We're going to be using an 8-foot long piece of sheathing, but our fly rafter kind of screws that up for us. We're going to be cutting off about 6 inches of our plywood. Alright, so I got to come down as far as I can, trying to hit the center of, that's 102. I've got to go to 90. There we go. We're going to go to 86. Let's go to about 87. I think we'll do it. So you're going to cut a piece to 87 and you're going to bring it over and put it in place. You would measure it to be sure. I've got my piece right here, already all cut and ready to go. I'm going to bring that over. Now you would think you're just going to set this thing right on the corner and you're off and running. You'd think that, but you'd be wrong. Take a look at what happens to the edge, the bottom edge over the eave, over the fascia, if we just set it on that corner. Look at how the edge of the sheathing extends out past the face of the fascia. That's bad. We need to make sure that we slide that up enough that it is not out past the face of the fascia. This little gap right here will be covered with flashing. Don't even worry about it. Another thing you have to watch for is that we do not extend out past the face of the gable end fascia. We can be back a little bit, up to say a 1/4 inch, but you cannot extend over. Alright, now we're going to get ready to square the roof. You lay this piece in place, get it lined up with your fascia, maybe back up to a 1/4 inch, and you're going to put a few nails, and usually I just temporarily nail, and I will help you with this. Call me over to help you with this. I'll temporarily nail a few down this edge only. At that point, we're going to rack the roof straight. This is a 90-degree angle, and we're going to make sure that we have a 90-degree angle on our roof. And we're going to move this sheathing up and down so that we get a nice straight line. Once we have that straight line, then we can tack in the rest of the sheathing and begin to nail it all into place. Our first piece of sheathing is in place. Now we're ready to measure and cut our second piece of sheathing, but plan for an 1/8 inch gap. So, tape measure to here. And my measurement is 57 3/4. I have to plan for an 1/8 inch gap, so that'd be 57 5/8. Plan for an 1/8 inch gap. Plus you can have a little bit extra off because it can be back a little bit from that edge. Let's go get our second piece and bring it on over. Not tight, 1/8 inch gap. There we go. And then make sure it does not extend out past the fascia on the gable end. It can be back as much as a 1/4 inch. It cannot extend over. Make sure when you're nailing that you're nailing into the center of the rafter, not into the fascia. Nail that all down. At that point you can remove this upper brace. You should have all these nailed in place. You can remove that upper brace. I think this should stay now on this side, and you should put the other side on. I've already got that all cut. These we're going to use in the 48 inch direction. I think it'll just work out better that way. Again, cannot extend out past the fascia. Got to scoot that thing up a little bit. There we go. Make sure that we're not over the peak. Get your last pieces on there. 1/8 inch gaps. And there we have our sheathed in roof. 1/8 inch gaps between sheets. Do not have your seams aligned. Seam is here, seam is here, seam is here. There are no two seams in alignment. That's a bad thing too. It makes your roof weaker. And there you go, sheathed roof.